Hey guys, what's up? Here with my side project, which is geargia. I think the deck deserves a little bit of discussion, or a bit of discussion. There's two variants of the deck, which I'm pretty sure most of you know about. First one is Kara Curry, which of the two I think is the overall better deck. It has a broader spectrum of plays, it has better plays to make, um, and in the end gives you a much more solid setup than the Machina variant does. But because there's such a wider spectrum of plays and the way those plays need to be made, the Car Curve variant becomes weaker to well-timed effect failures, max C's, well-timed bottomless or torrential can really hurt those decks. Versus the other variant, which is Machina, which is pretty simple and straightforward. It doesn't plus as much as the Car Curve variant does, but it's just going to put a 25 beater on the field over and over and over and over again. And continue to keep control that way. Of the two, I did choose to play the Machina variant of the deck. I chose that for two reasons. The first reason is sort of Machina is where I started. Once I got back into this game, I played around with some stupid stuff, and I wasn't really a good player for a while. And the first deck that I actually built and went competitive with was Machina Gadget Stun. So, Fortress has sort of always been, that card for me. And then second reason I played it is because it is a more simpler deck. It's not as weak to as a variety of cards as the Karkuri variant is. I saw a decent showing of the deck at like Toronto, and I saw a lot of things that in the way that I had built it, that they had built it too. So it's good to see that a lot of different players that have had no contact with one another have come up with essentially the same ideas to build the deck. So we'll go ahead and get into it. We start with the same 17 monsters that you probably saw in the Toronto profiles, which is triple Lone Fire Geargia, triple Accelerator, and the heart of the deck, which is triple Armor. On to Machina, you've got triple Gear Frame, triple Fortress, and double Cannon. Spells. One thing that I saw from a lot of profiles of decks that top with it was they wished that they had played Duality. I played Duality. Triple MST and Heavy Storm keeps the back rows clean so we can make our plays. Staple stuff, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Mind Control, Anti-Thunder King, Soul Taker, and finally is double Forbidden Lance. Onto traps, we've got the 3 Solemns, triple D Prison. This card is absolutely awesome in this format. Double Compulse, same thing. Double Mirror Force, and finally a Starlit Road. So that keeps the deck at 40. There are 2 cards not in the deck right now that I feel need to be. That's Limiter Removal and Pot of Avarice. I don't want to run the deck at 42. What I've thought about is dropping 1 Fortress and 1 Arsenal for 2 reasons. First off, Arsenal is just there to make sure that we get into armor. So long as you draw armor, then you don't really need Arsenal. Compared to the Toronto deck list players that pretty much said the same thing about just needing to get into armor and wanting to play Duality. With Duality helping that consistency of getting into armor makes him a little less useful. The downside to only playing 2 Arsenals, typically speaking, once you draw him and the setup's going, he's just a free pitch for Fortress. But at the same time, this guy's he's a Lone Fire Blossom, and the idea of being able to play 3 Lone Fire Blossoms and only choosing to play 2 seems really, really stupid to me. But there's just that consistency factor where I think he's not exactly needed at 3. As for Fortress, once you have 1 Fortress moving, you're only searching for cannons to keep reborning it. So you don't particularly need 3 Fortress. I would like to play 3 Fortress. These are just 2 options that are the first things that come to my mind that would be drops for Limiter Removal and Avarice. I may choose to not play Limiter Removal. I think it's kind of a win more card, but there are games where it is why you win rather than a win more. So that's still something to be determined. As for Avarice, it probably will be one of these 2 that gets dropped to play an Avarice. I absolutely hate Avarice. I always have in every deck I've ever played it except Dragoanity, and that's when Avarice was at 3, because you can just pitch it for Ravine and then have one later when you need it. But with it at 1, I've always seemed to draw it when I don't like it. But this deck really filters really well. It sets up a graveyard pretty quick. So in testing, I've actually decently enjoyed playing Avarice in this deck and only this deck. So I feel like it's going to probably take the place of one of these, and it'll probably be Arsenal. But that'll be determined later. As for the side deck, a lot of hand traps, double effect veiler, windups, just whatever. You need effect veilers. Double max C. A buddy of mine will be using these at YCS ND because chances are really good that even though I live here, I'm not going to be able to go. So double max C. Double electric virus. This card is awesome in the mirror match or the Karakuri variant matchup. I think it's actually better against Karakuris because you steal their berets and their Beretos and make plays with those. And you're still going to run into dragons from time to time. So there's your 6 hand traps. The last monster is 1 kinetic soldier, samurais and heroes. About kinetic, I really wanted to play 2 of this guy, but the sideboard is really tight. And then I realized that you can search this guy with geargia. So with him being searchable, I went ahead and cut him to 1. As for spells, double zombie world. To any pro machina player or anyone that really knows the deck, zombie world is that clutch sideboard card. A lot of people that I had discussed this with while I was building the deck and whatnot, when I mentioned zombie world, they were absolutely confused about it. Zombie world does a lot of things. First off, it doesn't affect your hand, so when you're discarding cannon to bring back fortress, you can still do that under zombie world. Zombie world also doubles as an out to the sighted system downs that you're going to be seeing. When all your things are zombies, system downs are useless. If you were to side this in against Dino Rabbit, say, because they're siding system down versus you, when Zombie World's active, they also, it doesn't matter if they rescue Rabbit because they can't go into Logia or Adolka. They're stuck making subpar plays. If you're playing against Frognarks, they can't tribute for Lad. They can't tribute for the Monarchs. I mean, the list just goes on. Zombie World is multi-purpose and awesome, as well as being a field spell. So it becomes already an out for the side deck system downs and the main deck Gates of the Dark World or Necro Valleys. I myself am not siding system down simply for the fact that I hate the idea of the deck being a who draws system down or zombie world first. So I'm just playing the 2 and playing a broader spectrum and I think better spectrum of cards for a greater variety of matchups. As to traps, double Soul Drain. Currently, I think this would be better as Shadow Mirror, but once ABYR comes out later this year with all the Mermails and Atlanteans, then it most certainly needs to be Soul Drain. But the whole point here is to stop Dark World. If it was Shadow Mirror, it's going to stop GK a lot better than just Recruiter or Commandant. But with the upcoming set, you have to worry about all the Atlanteans and all that crap. So, Soul Drains. Double Gozen match, because pretty much everything we do is Earth. And finally, Double Decree, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. As for the extra deck, mine is currently not completed yet. I'm missing 5 cards that I haven't entirely figured out what they are yet. 2 Gear Gigants. I only have 1 right now, so 2 Gear Gigants. Utopia, Maestroke, Gymnite Pearl, Butterfly, Roach, Fairy King, Violin to Sigma, Shockmaster makes 2 of the missing 5. Big Eye is absolutely awesome, overlaying fortresses to steal shit, and then ditching cannon to bring the fortress back. Stardust Dragon for the Starlight Road. That should be 10 of the 15. Like I said, there needs to be a Shockmaster. There needs to be a second Gear Gigant. C39 will probably need to be in there. That leaves us with 2 open spots, one of which will probably most certainly be Gaga Gunman once he comes out in the next set. And that will only leave us with 1 extra. But the deck, since it's not having to play Berets and Beretos, really does have a lot of options and XCs that you can choose to play. So you don't really need to worry about being too overly picky with that. But that completes the deck, so let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.